So, welcome. My name is WriterMaven. I am the host of the Wrestling Receipts podcast. I cover all things Judgment Day, Dom, Liv, Raquel, Finn, JD, Roxanne, and poor Carlito. Can I just say, and can I take a victory lap here, that I fucking called the King of Luchadors, El Jefe himself, Dominik Mysterio, is gaining an army? I pat myself on the back. Can I request all the chicken tendies, like Wingstop, garlic parmesan, boneless wings? I'll take that. But I gotta take a victory lap because I fucking called it. I called this 2 to 3 weeks ago. I have to explicitly thank my anonymous contributor. They don't want to be named. They didn't want to, and they were the ones that gave me the idea that maybe Ludwig and Don were talking about El Grande Americano, and I just took with the ball and ran with it, saying Dom could acquire these people to help him. I wasn't thinking army yet, but as soon as El Grande Americano Trish showed up, I'm like, oh, we're getting an army. And then what shows up tonight? El Grande Americano Cuatro. And what did they do? They all helped Dom win. Now, El Grande Americano Dos and Tres went under the disguise of going after Dragon Lee because El Grande Americano Dos has always started beefing with Dragon Lee. So Dragon Lee has beefed with Dos, but Tres got involved the other week, and now we got Cuatro. But this is an army for Dom. And this army is going to help Dom in Triple Mania, and they're probably going to help him in AAA, and I would not be surprised if they help him on Raw. Because when you break Dom away from Judgment Day and Liv away from Judgment Day and they become Bonnie and Clyde, they need allies. And this is a good way to get them allies that are around them but not a part of the faction. So what we're getting is the King of the Luchadors, who he finally referenced himself as tonight on Raw. It's not just other people saying it, it's Dom himself saying himself on Raw that he called himself the King of the Luchadors. So we are getting that presentation. And I have to say that we got the Dom of PLEs and Triple Mania. Not Triple Mania, AAA. And this is a good thing. We're finally getting that Dom. He's shedding the unsure, playing dumb, being like, acting like a fool. But now he has swagger. He's confident. He's looking like a king because he was leading the Judgment Day. You saw him right up there out in front of JD and Finn. I'm going to adjust Finn's demeanor change a little bit here because I think they're shifting away from a Finn and Dom feud to a Finn and Liv feud. But I'll get into that later. But we're seeing Dom's presentation shift, and it's a welcome shift, and I cannot be more happier because now we're getting a more confident, more aggressive, more Dom that is finally settling into his role as King of Luchadors. So, I cannot be prouder. We're going to go into who we think El Grande Americano Cuatro is and who would you want to add to his army. I had a nice suggestion on who could join the army, and I'll get into that later as well. So, pre-Raw, Liv with her messy self posted Sammy's tweet liking New York, and since they were in Brooklyn, I had to go, now Liv, why you gotta do this to us? We know we are waiting on your return, and you specifically retweet Sammy's post about New York. Like, woman, please don't do that to us. So at that in the beginning. So Monday Night Raw, we had the first mentions of Judgment Day. We're walking backstage. Dom is working with the Judgment Day, and he's taking the lead. He's talking up his win. We saw a little eye roll from Roxanne. Finn was genuinely smiling. He's not being that smirk that you just want to smack his face because he was doing it from all the time. This was a genuine smile. Roxanne is still all sad about losing the tag titles. Raquel takes Roxy away to regroup, and when Roxanne says bye Dom, he just straight out ignores her. It's getting hilariously bad at this particular moment. Dom looked on the LWO and asked why they're in his hallway. Like, and that's just aggressive. He's always been like that with the LWO, but I just love how Dom was just like, "Hey, you're in my hallway," and this is when he brings up being the king of luchadors. Now, Dragon Lee, of course, is gonna scoff at this. And the other LWO members, Del Toro and Joaquin Wild, but I am loving Dom finally mentioning King of Luchadors on TV, Raw TV especially. Dragon Lee does up to Dom and challenges Dom to a match, which he accepts. Now this, and then when Dom is done with that, he turns around and here comes AJ. Now, here's the interesting thing. JD and Finn stepped up for Dom to square up with AJ. That is a shift. I was not expecting that, and that really surprised me because Finn of old, or Finn from what we've been expecting with this long shitty ass storyline, it's just like Finn would probably fall back, start smirking in the back because AJ is rolling up on Dom and causing trouble. But he didn't do that. Him and JD stepped up. So I'm like, huh. And said, okay, AJ said that Dom was clever, but he's still coming after his Intercontinental title, and he walks off. But the biggest takeaways from this is the King of Luchadors and Dom's having swagger and just pretty much looking like a king. That's all I can say at this moment. Like, he's being king, he's being El Jefe. That's the character. He's not hiding it back. He's not in the back behind Finn and JD. He's not looking unsure of himself. He was aggressive towards the LWO. He accepted Dragon Lee's challenge. And then he was squaring up to AJ. He was not backing down. Even though AJ was like saying, "I'm coming after your title," Dom was not backing down. So I loved this. Y'all know I loved it. I loved it. Now, I gotta get into this Roxanne thing. Roxanne is really going to end up getting her feelings hurt someday soon. It may not be an "I hate you" speech like what Dom did to Liv, like it was just like that impactful, but sooner or later, Roxanne is going to get her feelings hurt. Now, we still do not know if this is something Finn is still trying to orchestrate here, or if Roxanne is doing it on her own. Because, like I said, there's a shift here. Finn was genuinely happy. Now, he could be doing this just because he's still away and all that, but still, you would expect him to be kind of things like that. It came in an international interview a little bit, but what we were expecting Finn to do, like his snaky self and demented demon self, it was dialed way down. So I'm thinking there's a storyline shift here. It's probably going to be more focused on Finn and Liv. Dom is going to be doing something else. He's King of Luchadors. That doesn't mean he's not going to be involved with Finn, but I think his role right here is being dialed down a little bit. For Roxanne, like I said, she's going to get her feelings hurt regarding Dom. And at this particular moment, what I've been discussing with some friends of mine and with my group chat is that, one, she's going to get her feelings hurt. Two, this might be Roxanne doing it on her own because she's being naive, and maybe she's kind of a, like silly girl crush. Not something where she's not something where we get Liv Dom's Summer Part 2. It's more like schoolgirl crush, and because they're really emphasizing Roxanne's naiveness, if y'all noticed on commentary. So there might be something there where maybe Finn is kind of to do this Dom, and he's kind of now, and then Roxanne is continuing on her own because that's what she's wanting to do, and it's going to end up with her getting hurt. Now, how she reacts to that hurt is going to be interesting. She could lash out at Dom. She could lash out at Finn. I'm kind of hoping she lashes out at Finn because I'm still have that theory in the back of my mind that it's been Finn and Raquel using Roxanne and not really Finn and Roxanne in on trying to get it on. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think it's going to be... I'm still going back to the theory like it's Raquel with Roxanne being used with her naiveness. Um, and I'm saying that just from the storyline standpoint because as I've been saying on the X and on my different chats, it's just like we still don't have the reasons why Raquel is acting the way she is. We don't understand what Roxanne is getting out of this partnership. We know what Finn was trying to do, but with Raquel and Roxanne, it's unclear. And I think it's easier to shift to a default of Roxanne being used and her naiveness being used against her, where she might have been now, after all this time with Dom, maybe she's got this little crush and she's just going to end up getting hurt, getting her feelings hurt. That's what I'm thinking. And the same thing with Finn, like maybe now he's kind of insecure because he's still thinking that Liv is going to be away for 6 to 8 months, because that's a really specific timeline you gave there, Finn, but I'll get into that later. But yeah, I think things shifted around. I'm thinking they're realizing one thing: you can't have Finn like just Dom, because while you might get some heat, I don't think it's gonna last. I saw somebody on the X saying that Finn is gonna get white hot heat, and I'm like, no, because what happened to Damien when they tried that with Damien? They thought, Damien was going to get all these cheers from a Dom that was getting booed to Kingdom Come. And look what happened. People got uncomfortable. People stopped cheering. And it hurt Damien's presentation to the point where he couldn't even get on SummerSlam the next year. They do that with Finn, it could end up being the same way and just in reverse. He's not going to get he might get those heel, chants initially, but it'll die down. And I'm thinking they're reworking it. Because right now, as we see coming up later in Dom matches, they're finally letting Dom acknowledge the crowd, but he's being really cocky about it. I loved it. But that's my current thinking right now. I think Roxanne is being used. They're using her naiveness against her, and it's going to be probably end up maybe with being Finn and Raquel working together, because I still think the feud, even though it's going to be like Liv, I think the feud is going to be Liv Raquel, because what does Roxanne get out of the feud with Liv? Unless I think Roxanne is going to have a title for Liv to go after. The money feud, the feud that has the heat and the storyline to it is Raquel. It's not Roxanne. Nothing has been built up for it to be a good feud between Roxanne and Liv. It's going to be a good feud, maybe match-wise, wrestling-wise, but for story-wise, that's what Raquel. So I'm thinking it's just going to be a situation where Roxanne is just used. Dom is probably going to either be really harsh with her, or it's just going to get to a point where Roxanne just has her heart broken over this crush. And it's not going to play out like Roxanne, like the expecting. Because I really saw on the X, Roxanne's fans crashing out over her loss at SummerSlam. And they were like, oh, Dom is our salvation. We need Roxanne. And I don't know how we could take, Rox as much. And people like me and some other fans were like, y'all really not been in the trenches with a wrestler. Dom fans, how long did we have to deal with his losing streak last year and going into this year? How long did we have to deal with Dom's losing streak? That's being in the trenches for your fave. Naomi fans, how long have we seen her get pushed to the side and pinned and being used to shore up other people's storylines before her character change? I've dealt with that for over 10 years? Yeah. Like 2017, it's like 2005 now. That's almost 10 years. I've been in the trenches that long. I was a fan of Naomi since her FCW days. And if you don't know what FCW is, that was a developmental federation turned into NXT. That's how long I've been a fan of Naomi. And when you say being in the trenches with your fave, I was in the trenches with my fave. So, and then there's other wrestlers, they don't even get that much. Like, look at what Tiffany is doing right now. Not Tiffany, Maxine. Just now, with Becky Lynch is getting a match with her. But, like, how long has she been on main event doing things? Look at Ivy now. She keeps losing, but she keeps being able to wrestle like Stephanie McCure and Rhea and things like that. Those are people in the trenches. Think about all the other women that have been in the trenches that couldn't do anything. Look at NXT right now. Look at what happened with Kalani Jordan. I really think that these ladies in NXT, because they had to push Julia and Stephanie. You have women that got pushed to the side. You had Kalani Jordan pushed to the side. You had Lola Vice pushed to the side. You had I would say like and Yeehaw girl. I can't think of her name. You know who I'm talking about. She's a part of Fatal Influence. Like JC Jane was pushed to the side. We have people released. Those are people that have been in the trenches, who have fans, that fans had to see their favorites being released. Like, I was really sick with Shotzi got released. I was sick when Gigi got released. I didn't like it when Cora J got released. Now she may not even be wrestling anymore. You know, the wrestlers whose fans have been in the trenches for them. Just because your favorite is losing doesn't mean that it's the end of the world. She's still a part of a storyline. She's on Raw every week. How many times have we not seen like a mean show up on Raw? How many times have we not seen Natty show up on Raw? I'm a fan of Akira Tozawa. I loved him in the Cruiserweight division. I loved him on 205 Live. I loved him when he was with Titus and Apollo Crews. But I'm a fan of his. He's a great wrestler. But I have to sit here and watch him lose all the time with pretty much no hope in sight. Maybe he gets a push here or there if they ever decide to activate another championship. I mean, Lotus, like I noticed, he had a really good thing with Mandy. But then they stripped away all his stuff, and then he reset himself, and then had the thing with Chad, and then that feud fizzled out. Look at LA Knight. I'm not a fan of LA Knight. But I have to feel for him when they keep not giving him the money in the big briefcase, and then it looks like they're setting up him to be like a pinfall guy and whatever this feud with CM Punk and Seth Rollins. So, just like I said, it's ridiculous to see what I was seeing on the edge regarding Roxanne. I like Roxanne, but she's young. This is one of those things where you have to say you're young and she's got to put in her dues. This is her putting in her dues, but she's a part of a storyline. Look at Carmelo Hayes. I was really hoping Carmelo Hayes was showing up on Raw, but now we're going back to AJ. I don't mind AJ, but I wanted Carmelo Hayes. I want Carmelo Hayes. I don't mind Dom running the back, maybe at Paris, because he needs to win that. Put AJ away twice. I don't care. But look at Carmelo Hayes. He came up with like Braun Breaker and a Tiffany and a Lyra, but look at what he's doing. Is he a part of a storyline? Is he on SmackDown every week? And even when he was on SmackDown every week, he was almost losing all the time. What was the point of him being inserted into Damien and All-Stars Black's thing? He didn't even show up last week when they were brawling. So there's trenches and then there's losing streaks. She won. She was on a roll. She was winning some matches prior to losing at SummerSlam and tonight. Acting like she's been losing all the time. No, she's not. She was on a losing streak from NXT because they were taking their sweet ass time to decide when to call her up. But Reign roster-wise, she's okay for a call up. I've seen worse. Look at Carmelo. Like I said, this is one of those things where they need to be grateful you're being on TV every week and in the storyline. She's a part of Dom's storyline. Dom's storyline is branching over like 3 or 4 directions. He's got Finn, he's got AAA, he's got Liv, and Judgment Day. There's 4 or 5 different branches here. Be glad that she's a part of a storyline. Because right now, the only storylines going on is Dom's shit and Seth's shit. And then whatever the heck Sheamus and Rusev is going on by brawling all over the place. This is where you want to pick and choose your battles. I don't like losing. I didn't like Dom losing either, but at least he was on TV in a storyline. That was the only saving grace when Dom was on that hideous losing streak. But that's a trench. You have to bear what your fave goes through. You're not going to be on top all the time. Everybody's going to be Rhea. And she was being ridiculous tonight, but I digress. But that's my little rant for tonight regarding Roxanne. Be thankful you're in the storyline and you're on TV every week. But then we get to Raquel and Roxanne versus Charlie and Alexa. I don't even have any notes for this interaction. I had to go somewhere, so I was kind of my ear to it. But the promo with Charlie and Alexa, and then Roxanne and Raquel, it was kind of it wasn't really nothing behind it. There's no fire. There's no nothing. They were just getting. It's obvious they were just doing this to set up the rematch from SummerSlam. Pierce makes it official. I did like the funny comment Corey made where he said that Granddaddy Adam Pierce was drinking the Irish coffee, like been drinking like a Bailey's or something like that. So that cracked me up. But we got the rematch. It was good. Raquel is still doing her power moves. Here I'm thinking they're really showing Roxanne's naivety here, or naiveness. She gets caught in Alexa's sister Abigail. She gets pinned 1, 2, 3, and there goes Judgment Day's women's tag team title opportunities. There's nothing much to be said. I still want Charlotte and Raquel to have a feud 1-on-1, and Raquel is looking good. But other than that, this is just to show the downside of what's going on with Raquel and Roxanne. They lost Liv's title now for good because they can't get back to that right now. And they just got the rematch out of the way. That's all I can say about it right now. They really didn't address it later. Finn did in his international interview, but it wasn't a lot to it. It was just more like that he was just addressing it. It was a low for Judgment Day. And then right after this, we have Dom versus Dragon Lee. This was a great match. Dom and Dragon Lee are pretty much, I think they're wrestling soulmates because they have such great chemistry that pretty much any match that they do is just going to be straight fire. Dom is like that with luchadors. Saw him, he was fighting Octagon Jr. He fights Penta. Dom is in there with luchadors. He shows out, and he's really good. And like I said, we're getting that offense. He's being smart. He's being crafty. All that. During the ad break, we had Dom acknowledging Dirty Dom when the crowd is singing that to him. He's acknowledging it and posturing, doing his arm bicep flex and all that. So he's acknowledging the crowd, but it's in a really cocky way. It's kind of like a Seth Rollins acknowledgement. Seth Rollins is always acknowledging the crowd when they sing along with him before he turned on him earlier tonight for "you turned your back on me." I'm like, whatever, Seth. But he's kind of like that where he was acknowledging the crowd in a really heely and cocky way. Also, miracle upon miracles. Cole actually gave Dom his props. Now, this is a shift in commentary that we needed. This is not a shift where we get Dom's sympathy where he's turning face. This is more of face commentators have to begrudgingly give the heel their props. It's kind of Cole was doing that with Seth Rollins as well. It's just kind of begrudging acknowledgement, but it's a step in the right direction because I really think he toned down the Roxanne stuff too. He wasn't as unbearable. I'm really thinking somebody really got to him about just running down Dom all the time. You can't do that with this kind of storyline. But Cole was at least easier to listen to, and Corey Graves was talking about Scrap Daddy. And he's talking to Dom. So it was a lot better listening to Dom's matches with Cole and Corey on commentary. Now, here's the interesting part. Dragon Lee gets Dom down. I see Dom going for his boot where he's starting to slowly unzip his boot like what he did last night at SummerSlam, where he was slipping off his boot so he could escape AJ's calf crusher. So you see him unzipping the boot. He's going to go for it again. And then wonder of wonders, here comes El Grande Americano Dos. And Dragon Lee is like, what the fuck? And then he gets up and gets distracted to confront Dos. And then who else comes showing up? Here comes El Grande Americano Tres. And now Dragon Lee is looking at both of them. The referee's looking at both of them. What? So Dragon Lee takes out Tres. And then he goes after Dos. But who comes through the crowd? It's El Grande Americano Quattro. And he takes out Dragon Lee. And while the ref is distracted by taking care of Dos because Dragon Lee had took him out, Dom hits Dragon Lee with his boot and pins Dragon Lee 1, 2, 3. So that's a protected loss for Dragon Lee. I don't mind it. He got distracted by about 3 Army of El Grandes and a boot. So he was really protected in that loss. Dom goes to hit Dragon Lee with his boot again, and then here comes Uncle Allen, AJ, to save Dragon Lee. He attacks Dom. He goes to hit Dom with his own shoe or his own boot, and then Dom retreats, get out of the ring, and then AJ did this hilarious thing where he throws the Dom's boot at him, and it just hits Dom. AJ had a really line drive of a shot by throwing that boot, and he just hits Dom with it, and AJ helps Dragon Lee up, and that was that. And that was that segment. Like I said, it was great. We got to see moves. We saw Dom do the whole bouncing off the ropes. Liv has done that, and then some other luchadors have done that. So we get to see some luchador moves here from Dom. Like I said, Dragon Lee and Dom are wrestling soulmates. They never miss a beat. I love them. Fight forever. Dom and Dragon Lee is like me with Dom with Penta. Him and Penta have some really great matches too. So it was just great to see this. We're great to see Dom with offense. It's nice to see Dom being smart. He's using tactics. He's not winning on flukes. This is great. This is what he needs. Who is El Grande Americano Quattro? We know Dos is Ludwig, who Dom talked to. We know Tres is Pete Dunne, who also Dom talked to. But who is Quattro? There have been some ideas tossed in the ring on who Quattro is. Some people have said Austin Theory. Now, if he's not injured and he was just injured just to write him into this storyline, I can see it because Grayson ain't doing anything anyway. So it could be Austin Theory. It could be Tyler Bate. Some people brought up that it could be Tyler Bate as Quattro. But I got the wildest, not gonna lie, I'm not sure if it's my anonymous contributor, but I got the wildest, not gonna lie, suggestion that it could be Ilya Dragunov. And if it's Ilya Dragunov, holy shit. Now, I know he has an injury, and he's been rehabbing it. This might just be, if it's Ilya, this could just be a way for Ilya to ease back into a wrestling role. Because sometimes they'll do that. They'll put somebody in a position where they can ease back into wrestling after a major injury. And maybe this is it. And if it's Ilya, that's going to be good because Dom and Ilya had a really great match. And I really like Dom and Ilya, just them together. I like that. So it could be that. It could be somebody else. We don't know. But we got Quattro. I'm not sure if we're going to be getting any more into this. We might get Cinco. Some friends of mine suggested that Pretty Deadly could be added to this. Hey, they're not doing anything on SmackDown. Give me Pretty Deadly. Maybe one of them is injured right now. But if they want to add Pretty Deadly to the El Grande Americano Army, they'll be fabulous. And I will enjoy it. I love Pretty Deadly. So if they get included with that, I'd be happy. But we got Quattro now. And all I can say is that I fucking called it. I called it. I said they're building an army. They're building an army. Like I said, a king needs an army. You can't declare yourself a king without an army. And if Liv is going to be the queen, then you need people around you. And this is a good way of having people around you. They can be stopgaps until they get to Dom. And that's usually how it works. But I called it. I was stoked. I was stoked the rest of the night. I'm really excited to see how this turns out because at Triple Mania, El Grande Americano Dos could inadvertently, on purpose, help Dom win the Mega Championship. So I'm just excited for things to come. It's interesting that Finn did not bring this up in an international interview, which I'm going to get into. But one of these days, I'm gonna have to expect Finn to at least acknowledge or mention like all these El Grandes around Dom. So I'm stoked. I fucking called it. I fucking called it. I can't. I can't. This is one of those calls where you just get a little germ of idea, and when it happens the way you say it's gonna happen, it's really nice. It's a really nice feeling. So I'm taking my another victory lap. Now, international interview. We had JD and Finn. Now, El Grande Americano Quattro cannot be like a JD or Finn Bálor because it would have been interesting if it was JD though. But they had this interview right after they showed up, so I was like, it can't be JD. Finn talks about the ups and downs of Judgment Day, and then Finn mentions Liv and says that she's going to be out for 6 to 8 months. Now, Finn putting an actual number count really means that she's going to be coming back sooner. I'm not sure how sooner. It could be early as Triple Mania. It could be later around Clash in Paris or even Survivor Series. But when you put that month on there, it's obvious that she's going to be coming back sooner. And it also shows that Finn thinks that she's going to be gone for a long time, so he can still continue to run things, or at least get Roxanne in a position to split Dom and Liv up and all that. So it's obvious that that Finn is expecting Liv at a certain point. And he's going to get the surprise of his life when she comes back sooner. And this is when I think that this is where they're going to shift it to a Finn and Liv feud. And where it's just going to be mostly Liv going against Finn. You're going to have Dom in there too. But it's going to be like a Liv Finn feud. Because like I said, I think they figured it out. He can't run it against Dom like this. Not like this. It'll hurt him more. I don't want Finn ending up like Damien, where you think you're going to get the boos or you think that you're going to get the cheers, and it don't end up like that. So I'm thinking things shifted. But that was Raw. Like I said, we're getting an army. We might get another member next week, or we keep it at Quattro. I don't know, but it's just nice to see Dom as a king, acting like a team, wrestling like a king, and having his army. Dom's character has now shifted into the right direction. He is no longer just being reserved and hiding behind people. He's out in front, and like I said, he's acting like a king. His character now matches pretty much, to a point at least, Triple A's character and the PLE's character. That's all we wanted. We didn't want what happened on the Raw after Money in the Bank to happen tonight, and we didn't get that. It was a straight shift, and we're getting Dom involved in multiple storylines again. He pretty much spearheads a lot of different storylines. He's got 4 of them right now, and that just shows how important he is to Raw. Because like I said, when you have somebody as an anchor point, like Dave being the anchor point, when you're all over the show, the Raw flows better, and that's what happened tonight. Raw flow better. We had Dom set up his match with Jack and Lee. We had Dom set up, between AJ and him weren't finished. We had Raquel and Roxanne, themselves, and we had JD and Finn pretty much talking about like the time of his return on an international interview, and that was spread throughout the show. And Raw flow better. And that's just how it is. I mean, when Dom as that focal point, Judgment Day is the focal point, it just flows. And we saw that. But that was it. Like I said, I can't be more happier with this Raw.